Alright, so we have parabolas. We're going to be talking about how to write the equation. So geometrically, a parabola is the locus of all points in a plane equidistant from a fixed point. So it's all points the same distance away from some fixed point, called the focus, and a fixed line called the directrix. Recall that the distance between a fixed point and the line is the length of the segment perpendicular to the line through that point. So we want something that's going to make a right angle. You can find the equation of the parabola on the coordinate plane using its locus definition and the distance formula. So just to make sure we all remember that part, let's write our distance formula at the top here. Distance equals the square root of y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. Okay, we're going to use that a lot. Alright, so we'll look at the first example. It kind of walks us through it as we go. We're going to have a focus point inside. We're going to have a line, a directrix, and we're going to have a vertex to our parabola. And these two distances should be the same, as well as the distance from the point to a point on the line, and from a point on the parabola to that directrix. Okay, so we want to find the equation of the parabola with a focus of 0, 1, and a directrix of y equals -1. So I'm going to start by plotting those two things. So here is my point at 0, 1, my focus. And then my directrix, here is y equals -1. Okay, so this is going to be between those two things. So here roughly is my parabola. I have to do some work to figure out for sure what the equation is. So we've graphed the situation. Now step 2, it says to label point D on y equals -1 such that PD is perpendicular to the line y equals -1. So we need a point P first of all. So P is going to be a point on my parabola. And then I want PD to be perpendicular to y equals -1. So here's my point D. And we know that these two are going to have the same distance. Okay, and the coordinate for D must be, we don't know what the x value is, so we'll just call it x, but it has to be -1 because it's on y equals -1. Using the distance formula to find PD and PF, PD, so this line right here, we know this point is, let's just call it xy. Okay, so then my points that I have to work with here, D is x -1, F is 0, 1, and P is just xy. Should be the same distance over as D, so it makes sense that both of these have the same x value, so we'll just call them x. Okay. Alright, we're going to use the distance formula. So the distance formula says y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared, which is equal to, if we plug everything in, we'll get the square root of y plus 1, should be minus -1, squared plus x minus x squared, which we know is just 0. X minus x is the same thing, so that's just going to be 0, which leaves us with the square root of y plus 1 squared. And over here, we're going to do it again. Only now I'm looking at P and F, so these 2 points. My distance formula, if I plug in y2, let's let y2 be y, minus y1 then would be 1, plus x2 would be x, minus x1 would be 0, squared. So if I clean that up, that's going to give me the square root of y minus 1 squared plus x squared. Alright, so since PD and PF are equal, we can set these two expressions equal. So I have the square root of y plus 1 squared equals the square root of y minus 1 squared plus x squared. So the first thing I want to do here is just square both sides. Get rid of that square root. Okay, so it leaves me y plus 1 squared equals y minus 1 squared plus x squared. Okay. This one's a little longer than I have room for, I think. Let's see, that should be y plus 1 squared is y plus 1 times y plus 1. So then we'd have y minus 1 times y minus 1 plus x squared. Foiling here, multiplying this out, I'm going to end up with y squared plus 2y plus 1. Make sure to combine your like terms in the middle because we're going to have a 1y and a 1y. Then here, multiplying this out, we're going to get y squared minus 2y plus 1 plus x squared. And we can start canceling some things. We can subtract. So subtracting y squared from both sides, subtracting 1 from both sides. Okay, clean things up just a little bit. Then I might want to add 2y. That would leave me with 4y equals x squared. Okay, but I want to solve this for y. We always leave it y equals for lines and parabolas so that they're easy to graph. So from here, we're going to divide by 4. Which gives me y equals 1/4 x squared. Oh, uh-oh. There we go. Okay, and that's my equation. That's done. Alright, so let's try another one. Exact same process. Okay, so we're going to start out by drawing our picture. We have a focus at 0, -2. Our directrix at y equals 2, so we're going to go up 1, 2 here, and go straight across because y equals just a number, so a horizontal line. Which means our parabola looks something like this. Okay. We'll put our point on here. We'll call this point P. And call this point D. Okay, so then labeling our points here, we know that D is on this line. We don't know what the x value is, so we're going to call it x2. F we know is at 0, -2. And P is at, well, this is x2. This is perpendicular to that, so it's just x, and we don't know how high up, so we're going to call it y. Okay. Then I start with my distance formula, so PD equals, then looking from P to D, we can go y2, so y minus y1, here we'll call 2, squared plus, we got x minus x again, which equals the square root of y minus 2 squared. And then we need to do PF. Distance from PF would be y plus 2 squared plus x minus 0 squared. So cleaning that up, we've got the square root of y plus 2 squared plus x squared. And then we're going to set them equal. Remember that the first thing we're going to do is square both sides to get rid of the square root. So setting these things equal, I have the square root of y minus 2 squared equals the square root of y plus 2 squared plus x squared. Alright, oh, maybe. So we'll square both sides. That gets rid of our square root, which leaves us, we know we're going to write this as y minus 2 times y minus 2. Write this as y plus 2 times y plus 2, but don't forget your plus x squared. After foiling, we're going to get y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals y squared plus 4y plus 4 plus x squared. Okay, just like before, we can start canceling. We cancel these two, cancel the 4's, and subtract 4y. Okay, which gives us maybe negative 8y equals x squared. So dividing, we get y equals negative 1/8 x squared. Okay. Now I want you to complete number 2 on your own. Give you a little bit to check as you go. So PD should come out to be the square root of y plus 5 squared. PF should come out to be the square root of y minus 5 squared plus x squared. And if you work it completely out, your final answer should be y equals 1/20 x squared. Okay, work that one out and check it. And you can leave 3 and 4 and the back page for when I get back. This should be enough to get you through your assignment for today. So when you are done with number 2 and you've gotten this answer, you may get your homework. And I will see you all Thursday.